Hello, hello, hello.
It says go.
It says
Where do we have to go?
for a nap. That's where I'm going. I'm going for a nap. I don't know about you. I am going to take a nap. Good grief.
Well, just hold off for about an hour.
Okay.
All right.
I'll stay awake. I'll do my best to stay awake for an hour.
The world.
I make no promises.
The world
but I'll try.
is awaiting.
I make absolutely no promises.
Everything
but I will
you
do
have to
my
say.
very best. Hello, everybody. Hi, Dane. Hi. You guys are coming down in July, I believe. I'll get to see you in July, which excites me. I'm sad they won't be there. Remember, Dane and Becca no longer live in San Diego, so normally
Yeah, I do remember that.
we get to play at Comic-Con together, but not this year. Boo hiss. What did I think of the Tony Awards? We'll get into it in just a sec. We're going to make sure we welcome everybody in first. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Lee. Hello, friends. Oh, my goodness.
It's so funny. We have real life friends who drop in on us here.
And new
virtually,
friends.
And people.
And new friends. Yeah, right. I thought last Sunday was hot. Please. We've been in the pool most of the weekend with Daisy and some of her friends, just trying not to melt and die, because trying to explain to little kids that you can't, that when it gets hot like this, when it's almost 100 degrees, we actually don't want to be out in that. And they look at you like, but why? I say, because we will all melt and it will be the end. Aye. All right, let's see. I think we're working in all of the places we're supposed to be working.
Larry in Dayton, Ohio says we look good. So we look good in Dayton, Ohio.
Larry says so. Who am I to argue, you know? 1 second. There we go. Yes, it would appear that we are working on all of the things.
Okay.
Which makes me a very happy camper.
Okay.
So we'll start. I have to share. I just started. Wait. What did Finn think of Inside Out 2? That's amazing. Of course, he's becoming a movie lover. Lee and Charlie took Finn to see Inside Out 2. I love that. We haven't put Daisy in a movie theater yet to watch a movie. I don't know.
Soon.
But Finn's a year older than Daisy, so he probably...
Well, that year makes a difference.
It makes a very big difference. But we have been swimming a lot, and she's very funny in the pool. Or as I like to say, she's not really swimming so much as I like to say, not drowning. That's really the goal with small kids. It's just.
But she's doing a little dog paddle.
She does a little. She was dog paddling to you actually more than she will to anybody else. She'll dog paddle to you because Grandpa's her favorite. So she was swimming to you yesterday, which was very, very cute, of course. So yeah, we're here. Let's. The first thing I have to share that is funny, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but I was watching the new series Presumed Innocent on Apple, and I was mostly paying attention, but Daisy was still up, so I was watching it, but also just looking out for Daisy. And I just wasn't focused enough, and I'm watching it, and I'm going, this is weird. The story took a weird turn. Why are we focused so much on these other characters? That's really weird. Maybe it's a flashback. I don't know. So I get to the end of this episode and I go, I don't know. It just seems really strange. And it goes to switch to the next one. It's a different show. The Presumed Innocent had ended. I got to the 4th episode, which is where we're at. And another show had started up on Apple and it had just gone straight through it. So I kept going, man, this Chris Evans thing is really weird. I don't know why. It was a different show. It was a different show that I was watching. It was not the same show that I had.
A blackout period.
Pretty much, yeah. And even Scott, my husband, came downstairs and I went, I just don't know where this is going. I don't understand. This is such a long tangent to go on. Like, not just a harken back to something. It was a different show. I was watching a different show for almost an hour without realizing that I was watching a different show. That should tell you where my brain is at. The Tonys. So here's the thing. I love a good Broadway show. We all do. And I think that I felt like some of the numbers made you want to go see theater and some of the numbers did not. And, you know,
quick interjection / reminder. This is the real critic in our family. Continue.
Alice is the real critic.
No,
my mother.
No, you.
Oh, you think I'm more critical than Alice?
Pass.
Thank you. She's the biggest critic. No, I felt like there was a lot of it that I didn't really love. But also we're quite removed from Broadway today.
Yeah.
You know, we used to go see theater. I used to perform, all the rest of it. It's like it was a really big part of our lives for a long time. And now it's kind of like, you know, it would be like somebody watching the Oscars who doesn't know any of the players, you know. A bit is sort of taken away from it because you just don't have that same connection. You know, you don't have the same connection to it. So yeah, there were some numbers that I thought, I don't get this. Other numbers I thought were good. My mom had the same thing because I watched it before she did. And then she started watching it, hated it and turned it off. And I said, let's just look at a couple of the numbers so that you can have seen these numbers. You know, and it's all, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the criticism of Eddie Redmayne, but I thought that has been really, really interesting. His interpretation of the MC in Cabaret, I don't like. It doesn't work for me, but he's fantastic. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
He's giving it everything, and he is one hell of a performer. It just doesn't work for me. What the internet has done is the internet is saying he's bad. They don't like it and he's bad. And I say, no, it's not really that. So you now have this sort of fighting going on where some people are saying you just don't get Cabaret and you don't get who his character is. You know, you don't get who the character is. You don't understand why he's making these choices. And that is a valid, you can say people don't understand. A number of folks were saying that they're expecting Chicago with Cabaret.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not. Cabaret is dark. Cabaret is really, really dark. And you know, it's not a fun time, though the music can be so much fun.
Yeah. Some of it.
Yeah. You know, not all of it. I want you to sit up.
Yes, I'm trying.
Sit that, yeah, you're sinking.
I'm trying not to
push
sink.
your butt back and sit yourself up. You can do it. Booty back. Up we go. There we go.
I'm trying to sit forward.
Sitting,
not
sitting
crooked.
forward. Anyway, I thought that yes, a show about Nazi Germany is dark, but that's what I'm saying. People don't understand. They see the visual sort of spectacularness of it and think it's meant to be a party. And the idea is that it's meant to be a party in there to distract you from the hell going on outside. But sometimes that comes in. So as I say, I disagree with people saying that they think Eddie Redmayne didn't do a good job. I think he's great doing what he's doing. I just don't like that version. I don't like the character he's created for the MC. So to me, there's a difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Josh was just saying both, who is it? It's Jeremy Strong and Sarah Paulson are halfway to EGOTs. They're on their way to EGOTs. I think Sarah Paulson will be an EGOT. I don't doubt that for a second. If you don't know what that is, EGOT, basically it means you've won an Emmy, Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. You're an EGOT. And there are a number of them in the world, number of EGOTs out there. And it's always fun and exciting when it happens again. You know, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Yes, the Cheetah Rivera tribute was very sweet. I liked that. Who doesn't want to see Brian Stokes Mitchell and Audra McDonald? Like, there's never a bad day for Brian Stokes Mitchell or Audra McDonald.
That's where we are chronologically.
Yeah.
I'll speak for myself.
I'm there.
Chronologically, in the annals of Broadway, I kind of start to peter out around the time they came on the scene. Excuse me.
We sort of stop in the 80s.
Yeah.
We stop somewhere in the 80s, getting into the 90s, but really our brains live around there.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Dan's saying Mel Brooks is now a PGOT because he got the Peabody Award. I love that. If Larry says 19 EGOT winners so far per Google. Yeah, that's the thing. It is not an easy task. It's not like something everybody just does. So it's a big deal to become an EGOT. And it's special. Yeah, Lynn says, if you're a musical theater fan, you'd think you would know how dark cabaret truly is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Josh, Alice is done by Rent. Truly. Well, but this is the thing, right? So we were talking about this. My mom, when they had that number from Hell's Kitchen, the Alicia Keys musical and all of that, we're both watching it. And I said, well, here's the thing. This isn't for me, but in the same way that I don't love In the Heights. I like In the Heights, but I don't love it. What I like when I go to Broadway, I want one of two things. I either want to see something like Spamalot that is hysterically funny, but also has fantastic musical numbers and a great cast, or I want an old-fashioned big musical. When I got to see, like, I get there too. I don't think Wicked is the greatest show in the world, but what I think is, especially when it came along, people were so excited to have a big, real Broadway show. Big cast, stunning costumes, fantastic set design and everything else.
Stagecraft.
And if you're going to take a kid to theater, if you're going to introduce a kid to theater, you want to take them to something like Wicked.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go, wow, look at that. It's like taking kids to see the Rockettes,
Yeah.
It's a spectacle, and it's the kind of thing that a kid could get into it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to take them to something serious and quiet. You want something. Wicked has one good song, Popular. I like a number of the songs in it. As I say, I don't think it's the most amazing show, but I get why it tours forever and why people like to go see it. We're a household. We love Carousel. We love Gypsy. We love those kinds of musicals. I've seen some fantastic off-Broadway shows, even some off-Broadway that went to Broadway. Great shows. So there's always exceptions. 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee is a lot of fun. I saw Avenue Q off-Broadway first and then got to see it when it went onto Broadway. There are some shows, again, if something is done well, anything can work. That's the truth. If something is done well, anything can be good. Even something you didn't think you'd like. Even something that's not necessarily up your alley. I will say, I think 1776 is one of the best shows we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the greatest experiences ever in a theater. And we were all together.
And your mother and I separately had seen the original production.
Yeah.
And I think Ron Holgate was the one actor who was in both.
Mm-hmm. And
Richard Henry Lee in Virginia.
It's such a good show.
It really is.
It's such a good show. I love it. And that cast recording, which you can't really find anymore. I don't know where my CD is. It's not. Not on Apple, and so I'm genuinely thinking about bothering Brent. Just like messaging him saying, do you happen to have any more copies of this? We met Brent Spiner. We got to go backstage after we saw 1776, which I have to say again, in terms of things that are thrilling, going backstage at a show is really, really cool. And
how old would you have been?
I think we saw that around the time I was 12. I think because that was all at the same time, I think, as Lion King and everything else. I think it was all in that trip. So yeah, that was just a knockout. The other, one of the greatest straight plays that I've ever seen, which is, say, non-musical, Noise is Off, and the cast that we saw for Noise is Off. I don't think I've ever hurt that much after a show where my stomach hurt because we were laughing so hard. I had mascara coming down. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. One of the funniest things I have ever seen in my entire life. It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible. And again, when you have those experiences in theater, it's all you could ask for. You walk out and everybody's just communally going, oh my God.
So I remember that Peter Gallagher was in it, and Patti LuPone.
Yeah, those are the two I remember because those are the two big names.
I don't remember who else was in that revival of Noise is Off.
And
Peter Gallagher
was so funny.
Oh,
Oh, they were all so funny. It's playing in my head because it's just, oh God, it's just so funny. Freihofer's. Billy says, Leonard, do you still enjoy Freihofer's chocolate chip cookies? Well,
if I could get them.
When we go back east, it's one of the very first things. You have to go to a store and try to find your Freihofer's. Here we have Entenmann's, which is fine.
Entenmann's is perfectly good.
But it's not Freihofer's. It's not Freihofer's. Freihofer's. Somebody before is asking if we liked Hamilton. We did.
Yeah.
We did like Hamilton. I like it very much. I think, again, to me, Hamilton's a really nice middle ground between being new, and having that newness to it and that currentness to it, but also feeling in many ways like a big Broadway show.
Right.
I feel like it meets nicely in the middle.
Right. William Daniels' wife is not Bonnie Bedelia, it's Bonnie Bartlett.
Yeah. I love the two of them. And the fact that they're still together, obviously, we all just die. Oh, cool. Dan said he saw Peter Gallagher as Danny in Grease in the late 70s. That is really neat. Billy says, I took care of you during one of your many stays in Syracuse. Good to see you. Then Billy, that's why you know about the Freihofer's. I knew you had to be in Syracuse. It's the only way. No, I have never seen Book of Mormon, and I'll tell you why. The tickets were always insanely expensive. And this blows my mind, right? Because you guys ended up seeing it here.
Yeah.
With Howard, with friends of ours. They finally decided they were going to do it. But still the tickets were it was like $400 a piece. And the reason that they could do it was their friend who worked for Disney could expense them and get half back. So you paid $200 each to go see a show.
You remember details I've forgotten.
Because I've never forgotten it.
Yeah.
Because $400 for two people to go see a show.
Yeah.
Are you joking?
Evan here is correcting me.
Oh dear.
Ron Holgate was not in both the original and the revival. William Duell was playing different roles.
Josh, which shows went up? Josh says tickets went up $200 post Tony on some shows. It's insane now. Well, see, this is the thing. For the life of me, I cannot understand. Okay, so when I was younger and we were going to go, the first time that I went to New York without my parents, because again, both my parents are New Yorkers. Most of their family was there. Both my dad's parents are gone now, but they were there. And so we'd all go as a family, and we went either once or twice a year back east, and we'd always see shows and stuff like that. And I think I was probably 17 the first time I went back by myself and stayed with a friend. And she's another theater kid, and we all went to see, and she and I went to see a bunch of shows. And at this point, shows were just starting to hit $100 a piece. And we were in shock over that. But it was okay, I'm in New York.
That's what everybody does.
Okay, I'll see a show or two. And then we saw a couple of off-Broadways that were $30 a piece, things like that. So the fact that we paid $100, I forget what we paid $100 for. Maybe it was Avenue Q because it had gone to Broadway. I don't remember anymore. But I think it was Wicked. That's what it was. That we saw Wicked, and it was that. That was the expensive one. But we just figured, let's do it. Fine. And I, the idea of paying that much money blew my mind. And now you can pay $100 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you're paying $100 for a show.
Look, when Alice and I got married in 1975, and we moved out here in 1983. I commuted starting mid-82, and we moved in 1983. So then we became those out-of-towners.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're only here for 4 days. Yeah. We're only here for 7 days.
We'll pay $100. We'll do whatever. We'll get to see the show.
So, but when we were still just New Yorkers living on the Upper West Side, we reached the point where we said we can't pay on principle.
Yeah.
We can't pay that much money because you go into the show then like this.
Yeah.
All right, show me.
You're not happy.
And that's no good. But we first broke the $100 barrier.
Yeah.
With the Royal Shakespeare Company production of Nicholas Nickleby, which is
the two of you say one of the greatest experiences of your life.
Experiences of my life.
Not just theater, just in general.
Yeah, we chose to see it over 2 nights. They also did as an all-day experience with the dinner break. but I'm glad we saw it over 2 nights. What happened was, uh, it was a limited run, and every seat was $100, no matter where it was in the house.
Mm.
And midsummer, Patrick O'Connor came back from England and said, if you have to hock your mother-in-law, you got to see this production. So he said, but so then I said, well, all right, now if we're gonna...
And Olivia just joined. Olivia, I was just talking about going to visit you in New York and how expensive the shows were, because we're talking about that right now. My friend Olivia has just joined us on Instagram, and she's the friend I would go visit back east, and we'd go see shows together. Go on.
So where was I? I was saying
Your friend said you have to go see the show, so you said we're going to do it.
So all right, so we had a car in the city. We used to park on alternate side parking. We drove down to the theater. I got physically to the box office and said, okay, what's left? Because I was not gonna see it from the balcony.
Yeah.
I'm paying $100.
Yeah.
So we got to see it in December, toward the end of its run. And Act 1, we were like this.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of Act 1, we were sold.
Like, this is the greatest thing.
And by the end of that evening, if I could have spent another $200 for another pair of tickets, I would have, but they were sold out by then.
Hmm.
That exists on video. It did a really good video production of that performance.
Yeah.
Where it starts, you're in the audience. It starts as a proscenium, setup, and then it draws you in, and they cut and shoot it like a film.
Yeah.
So good.
Josh, was that here? Josh is saying he saw 6.5 hours of Angels in America over 2 nights.
I wish I had.
Did you see that here, Josh, here in New York? Yeah, so just to wrap on the Tony thing, again, I love watching the performances that make me want to go see theater again. And I love seeing the audience, because this is the audience that's looking at you and wanting you to be great. This is a room full of, oh, that's right. Josh saw it on Broadway with Andrew Garfield. That's how he saw Angels in America. I don't think that Water for Elephants looks like a spectacular show. My friends who've seen it said it's kind of a throwaway, but it looked like, just in what you got to see, it looked like, again, an old school show, and it felt like that. But I love, as they're looking into the audience, this is an audience of performers. And so they're just so excited to see everybody else on stage. They're in it, and they're giving you all of this energy. And so that, to me, is the takeaway, is that the theater community is still so strong.
Yeah.
And everybody after COVID has just been through so much.
Right.
And I think that they're just thrilled to be there together. And you see people win. It was somebody before asked about, I mentioned Daniel Radcliffe getting his Tony. I think all of us have this beautiful rooting interest in Daniel Radcliffe, because to start as a kid actor in one of the biggest series of films possibly ever to this date, the Harry Potters are, the books, the series, all of it. The fact that he made it out alive and thriving. Yeah. With a little boy and a partner he adores. And, he started doing theater very quickly after becoming famous.
I would like to have seen him in How to Succeed in Business without really trying.
Yeah. Oh, both. That's the clips I've seen of that. He's great.
The part that Robert Morse originated.
Yeah. And I was also excited to see Jonathan Groff win, because I love Jonathan Groff. And again, one of my friends is in Marilyn We Roll Along. So it was a lot of fun seeing her come out and all of that. So, not perfect. Nothing's perfect, but it's nice to be excited. Now I really want Daniel to work with the Muppets. I tell you, I feel like he would do pretty much anything. He's such a good sport. Again, I think because he's managed to have a life, and that's such a big deal. Yeah, exactly. Josh is saying a bodyguard backstage every night, I'm sure. Well, again, that's the thing. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I can't imagine. You've seen a lot of the stage dooring that goes on, and how some actors have to just tell people they're not going to do the stage door because it's too intense now. And it's also different with technology. Everything changes, and yeah.
Okay, flashback.
Hang on. It annoyed me that people read their speeches from paper. They're actors. How hard is it to memorize a few sentences? It's boring to see people reading. I think that's really interesting. And it reminds me, just because that's what my dad has been able for many years, was able to go to the Oscar nominees luncheon. And that was one of the things that they would often say is nobody wants to watch you read from a paper. And it takes away sort of from the excitement of it.
They want, as the producers say every year, in vain.
Mm-hmm. In vain.
People want to know what you're feeling.
Yeah.
They want to know how your emotions are swirling at that moment, at that instant. And that's what you want to communicate. Besides thanking your agent, your team, and all that.
Not a list. And I think that the way I feel is I think I get both sides of it. On the one hand, you're going to be nervous and overwhelmed. And if there's people that you really want to make sure you thank, I get that you want to have that there. At the same time, I do understand that it's hard sometimes when it is a passionate moment and they get out a piece of paper and you go, no, I don't want to see, I want to just hear you. So I get both pieces. I get both sides of it.
Want to see a good segue from theater to film?
I can't wait.
Okay.
Is it about the ghost light that it's about a movie that's about a play? No? Okay. I tried.
That's good too.
I tried to help you. I tried.
There's a film that is opened this weekend called Thelma. And it's opened in theaters this weekend. It stars June Squibb, now 93 years old.
Young.
And she is terrific. And it stars co-stars the late Richard Roundtree, who's also really good, and everyone's good in the film. Malcolm McDowell has a good part, but it's her movie, and you may, if the name isn't familiar to you, you've seen her. She's worked quite a lot actually in the last decade.
Yeah.
But she got an Oscar nomination for Alexander Payne's Nebraska, and that's what she's perhaps best known for. Well, in her younger days, she was in the original cast of Gypsy with Ethel Merman, and she was one of the 3 strippers. She played Miss Electra there.
I love it. That's once I was still one of the greatest rhymes in all of musical theater. Once I was a schlepper, now I'm Miss Mazeppa.
Thank you, Mr. Sondheim.
Not everybody could do that, Not everyone could say, what rhymes with schlepper? Or for that matter, Mazeppa. And yet here we find ourselves. No, there's so many. I love it.
Yes, I did see and very much enjoy the Jim Henson documentary.
The Ron Howard,
directed by Ron Howard, which is now playing on Disney Plus. Well worth seeing. You also really liked the Gene Wilder, called Remembering Gene Wilder. And Robert last night told me that there's a second Gene Wilder documentary.
I think I heard that.
This one was very sweet, and I enjoyed it.
I am all for documentaries that do not have an agenda, in the sense that let's not tear people down. That doesn't mean you can't be honest. I mean, Gene Wilder was a good guy. It's not like it's a thing, but I'm just saying, I'm all for sort of, it's great to find out the backstory and learn everything. At the same time, with someone like Gene Wilder, who is beloved, this is not the time to say, oh, and he cheated on his wife. He didn't. I'm just saying that. It's nice sometimes to just cherish somebody, and have a documentary just be one that says, we all loved him. Let's talk about that.
I've not seen the Pauline Kael documentary. I did not know of it.
And no, you did not know her.
No, we had one telephone conversation, a very pleasant telephone conversation.
And that's it. Leonard, how do you feel about the upcoming MeTV cartoon channel? We talked about it a little bit last week. We're excited.
It debuts on Tuesday.
We're excited.
And boy.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
If you don't see my dad for the next month, you'll know where he is. He's just sitting there watching every possible cartoon.
When I was writing my book of Mice and Magic on the history of American animated cartoons, which remarkably is still in print after many, many years. It was so hard to get to see some of these cartoons. And the Tom and Jerry cartoons, the MGM Cartoon Library, had not yet been licensed to television. And when they did, it was on opposite Walter Lantz Library on another channel in New York.
Hmm.
So my good friend, the late Dennis Fine, had been an early adopter. He bought a 3/4 inch U-matic video. I guess you call it. It wasn't really a VCR. It was a professional model that you would have found at TV stations. And they used it for editing. He recorded the Tom and Jerry show for me every day.
That's a good friend.
Yes, I troop over.
That's a good
I
friend.
troop over to his apartment and watch it and make my notes.
I like that Craig says another favorite Sondheim trick rhyme: personable, coercion-able. That, you know, I could do it all day. Frighteningly, there's just, again, anytime there's something clever, especially because now it's hard to find things that are clever. You hear something and you go, ah, yes, that I enjoyed that. It's interesting. I'm looking through some of your questions, and obviously Donald Sutherland just passed away, which is just awful. Like, I'm really sad about that. But I'm also I feel grateful that we have so much of him to watch on film, and interviews. And I think that he was probably one of the most honest about how he was feeling about what things were like. I was watching an interview the other day. He and his mother had a very difficult relationship. And he talked about that his mother basically said he was ugly. And he really struggled with that. And, but he was always so good. And I think he's one of those where he was always good young, but he sort of became like the quintessential older actor who could just do everything.
Who's the young man on Dawson's Creek?
James Van Der Beek?
Yeah. The film that James Van Der Beek and his parents are getting old. Louise Fletcher plays his mom. Donald Sutherland plays his dad.
Do you mean Joshua Jackson?
Yeah.
Joshua Jackson. I still don't know what you're talking about, but
if you would look it up for me and refresh my memory, which does need refreshing every now and then.
They might even be faster than me. Let's see. I do love that he was in the Hunger Games movies, because
yes, it means everybody knows
that
him.
Younger people got a chance to see who he was. You know, that to me is really, really worthwhile. And it's something that, you know, whenever it happens with older actors, I'm thrilled for them to sort of have a second wind, almost that there are, as I say, to have a whole generation of young people knowing who you are. To me, that's fantastic. Oh yeah, well, and Trust. Yeah, that's what the other thing I was thinking of was Trust, where he played J. Paul Getty. Cruel Intentions. He's not in Cruel Intentions, is he? No, he's not. He's not. I'm trying to see which movie it is that you were thinking of.
Oh.
And I should do it this way. This is easier.
Look up Louise Fletcher, maybe. Anyhow, it's a good little movie, and it's a really fine performance as a man who's starting to lose.
Aurora Borealis?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. Truly never heard of it.
I do believe I showed it in my class.
Oh, there you go. Joshua Jackson, Juliette Lewis, Stephen Pasquale. That's neat. Well, there you go. Aurora Borealis. Who knew? Did you know or meet Donald Sutherland? I
had one wonderful evening. I believe it was for the AFI, where I did a on-stage interview with him, and we talked about his whole career.
Yeah.
And I hope I have a transcript of that somewhere.
Yes.
And
I'm also.
He was very open. He was willing to talk about anything. He didn't. Some people don't like revisiting their past work.
Yeah.
But he had no such problem.
That's what he was extraordinarily open. And I say I love watching interviews with him. It's just kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
I am also, I have to say, really pleased that Kiefer Sutherland has finally found himself in a good way and is healthy. Because that was always really hard. He was so talented and he was genuinely nice. He just struggled with substances, as a lot of people do. And now finally he's okay. So that makes me really happy. You guys are mentioning some of your favorites. A Dry White Season with Marlon Brando. Day of the Locust is a polarizing film for many. I love Sutherland in it. Thoughts?
It's a tough movie.
Singular.
It was based on a very tough book by Nathaniel West about the seamy side of Hollywood in the 1930s. And but it's a very well crafted film, and of course he's really good in it. What wasn't he good in?
No, he's always good. Well, he just had a fantastic voice. He had one of those extremely recognizable voices.
You heard him selling orange juice for the last decade or so.
I love
voiceovers on commercials.
Yeah. No, he's a fantastic voice, and I won't call it, it's not transatlantic because it's not to that degree, but it had a little bit of that, where it had like a little bit of Britishness to it.
Well, that's a Canadian influence.
Yeah. But it was just that sort of unique, lovely voice to listen to. So I'm sad he's gone, but I'm also grateful, of course, that we had as much time as
James Gray. James Gray was smart enough to put him in Ad Astra.
Yes. Well, and somebody else mentioned that they're grateful to Tarantino for employing so many older actors. And it's true. I mean, this is the thing. Why wouldn't you if you still have certain people, why the hell wouldn't you use them? Who wouldn't want to put Donald Sutherland in something, or June Squibb for that matter? Why wouldn't you want to put June Squibb in something? She's great. And if you look at the reviews for Thelma, everybody, even if they didn't love the film, they all think that she's fantastic. So that's great. All sorts of
yes,
he
and Clint Eastwood were in Kelly's Heroes about 1970-ish, and then again in Space Cowboys as astronauts decades later.
Did you ever meet Oscar-nominated French actress Anouk Aimée?
No,
but I passed away a few days ago.
Yes, there's a lovely appreciation of her by Glenn Kenny in the New York Times. If you can get that online, it's worth reading. And I sent him a note of congratulations, not on the piece. I said, it's a lovely tribute, but he described her as Ophulzian, meaning, like you say, Hitchcockian, something like that. He's referring to the great filmmaker Max Ophuls, who was French. And I said, not only that you got to coin and use that word, but the New York Times let you. He said it was done very quickly, and that's probably why he got away with it.
That's so funny. Yesterday was the 89th birthday of Floyd Norman. I'm interested to know if you remember when you first met him. He sure is a swell guy. It's true, Ryan. He is just about as cool as they come.
I saw him last Saturday at the Hyperion Historical Alliance meeting, which is a conference of Disney historians. Huh? What? That's what people say when I
It's the nerdiest nerd that ever nerded. And they have so much fun together. They love it. And it's a whole day. It's a whole day of presentations.
No, it's actually 2.5 days.
Sorry.
I just go
You
one
just
day.
go for the one day.
Yeah.
But Floyd, I have to tell you, Floyd is as cool as they come. And I'm very grateful that he is as open as he is in talking about his memories, because especially, and you guys have heard us say this before, but it's like, it kills me that people try to crush who Walt Disney was. He's an anti-Semite. He was racist. He was this and that. No, he wasn't. Get over it. No, he wasn't. I'm sorry that he wasn't. I'm sorry that it ruins your story that he wasn't. But he wasn't. It's one thing for something to be of its time.
And with the passing of dear Richard Sherman, Floyd is one of the very few people left of any significance who worked with Walt Disney. He worked for, but also with Walt Disney.
Yep.
He was in story meetings with Walt Disney and remembers them.
And he doesn't have a bad word to say about him.
No.
What I have learned from all of the people that we have spoken to who knew Walt, and over the years, there have been many, he was tough because he knew what he wanted, and he knew his guys were the best and that he wanted the best from them. I feel like that's, he wanted everything to be great, and he hired great people, and he knew they were capable of that. So that's the only sort of, I won't even call it a negative, but it's the only thing I've really heard them say is just that he was tough because he wanted things to be right. But that's why what they produced was great. There's a reason that the movies that they made then are still so good.
Right. He was demanding of himself.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, yeah. It's not like he went, you have to do this and I don't. So yeah, it makes me really happy to know that someone like Floyd is still around. First of all, because he's just fantastic and still draws and is wonderful.
If you know of Floyd Norman,
Yeah.
and you haven't seen little books that he published,
Or the documentary about him.
that too, but he did several books about sort of the trials and tribulations of being a freelance animator.
Yeah.
And they're really fun.
Yeah. Well, that's it, Victoria, isn't it? It's lonely at the top. I mean, well, this is the thing. As I say, I get that some people just want to crush what, I get it. You don't want someone to be, nobody's perfect. Not a living soul is perfect. But it just really, it makes me angry that the stuff that they do come at him for is so false. I'd rather you say his head was frozen. Like of the lies, I'd rather we stick with his head is frozen, because that to me is less offensive than saying someone is racist or anything else, just very strange thing to choose to do. I was talking to mommy about this, all the stuff with this is a very fast sidebar because it's not worth getting into, but all of the mishigas around Kate, Princess Kate, and her not being seen in the cancer. And now like the stories people have come up with, it terrifies me. They've come up with, she had a facelift. That's why she was gone. William beats her. That's why she was gone. Like just getting into these, and you're just like, what is wrong with people? Anyway, I heard their Frozen rumor was started by Ward Kimball.
Oh.
He might have.
Ward had a quirky sense of humor, to put it mildly,
funny.
but
I don't know where the hell it came from, but good grief. Owen says, I'm in a Cagney state of mind this weekend. Any chance you contextualize for a modern audience just what made him so unique?
Owen just took his son to the New Beverly to see White Heat.
Yep.
Can you imagine seeing James Cagney for the first time in White Heat? I can't. It would maybe cause an implosion in my brain, because he's so great in that. The word they used to use was dynamic, which is a good word, perfectly good and appropriate adjective. He was somebody said he wore lifts, which is why he was always sort of leaning forward, like in a boxer's pose, almost like ready to jab.
Yeah, well, he was,
and he was. There's he was a New York street kid. He grew up in Manhattan when it was an early 20th century melting pot. Those ethnicities, the Irish neighborhood, the Jewish neighborhood, the Italian neighborhood, etc., which is why he spoke Yiddish. And not only does he speak Yiddish fluently at the beginning of the movie Taxi, 1932, with Loretta Young, but I visited the wonderful performer Sidney Miller, who was a kid actor in the 1930s. And he showed me the picture that Mr. Cagney autographed to him in Yiddish.
Amazing. Amazing. Dan says, I met Cagney via A.C. Lyles in the 80s, and he hated talking about all the gangster films. White Heat was my favorite. He said to me, I'm just an old hoofer.
Yeah.
I'm a song and dance man. It's true.
Well,
A.C.
I've grown up.
A.C.
I've grown up with Yankee Doodle Dandy my whole life. July 4th for me is not complete without a viewing of Yankee Doodle Dandy. I don't know how that film would play to a young person today. The story of George M. Cohan, whose name has receded from, the zeitgeist, the conversation of the day. But he's just so good. And I love him in 1, 2, 3, Billy Wilder's 1, 2, 3. Apparently he didn't love that film, but he's astonishing in that. He was his own invention in a way, because there's no one like Jimmy Cagney. No one else is a Jimmy Cagney type.
Yeah.
He loved Pat O'Brien, and they worked together fairly often, and they played off and with each other very well.
Yeah.
But they were different. They complemented each other.
Yeah. It's something. Oh, Darla says, "Hey Leonard, I still have all your movie guide books. You helped me learn to read as a kid. Thank you." He helped me learn to read too. I like that. No, that's wonderful. I love that. That's wonderful. Actually, the way that we've told you this before, but the way that my dad helped me learn how to read was with the Lil Abner comics, which explains why my spelling is so poor.
The Kitchen Sink Press reprinted all the daily Lil Abner strips, and we had all those books.
Yep. I still love them.
They're great.
I still love. That's another one. That's another one of my favorite musicals. Lil Abner. I love that film. I love the music from that film. And we did get to see it on stage with our pal Fred Willard at UCLA
as General Bulmos
when they did one of their revival. These revivals.
Was he General Bulmos?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was. He was General Bulmos. God, that was a lot of fun, though. A lot of fun. Jesse, one more Sondheim sextuple rhyme. In the depths of her interior were fears she was inferior and something even eerier, but no one dared to query her superior exterior. You know, not everybody could come up with that. That is, no, I love it. I absolutely love it. I will say a person that composer I love Jason Robert Brown in terms of the newer folks. And he's not that new anymore, but in the realm of, we're talking about musicals from the 50s or 60s or this, Jason Robert Brown. But his music is so beautiful and his lyrics are so thoughtful, and he's really great at bringing them back in different songs or using the same lyrics, but now with different intention. Mm-hmm. One of my last 5 years, which is such a beautiful show with such incredible music. There's a point where when the couple is in love, it's a 2-person show, husband and wife. And early in the show, when she's talking about how much she loves him, she says, "I want you and nothing but you, miles and piles of you." And then later on, when she's sick of him and angry with him because he hasn't put her first and they're fighting and all of that, she goes, "It's just you and nothing but you. Miles and piles of you." And it's this angry, wow. and it's one of those things. I say he does it throughout, but it's amazing how the same lyrics take on such a completely different meaning.
That's so smart.
Truly just a completely different meaning, and it's beautiful. Surprised you guys aren't in Bologna right now. We were that once. That's the only time we've been. We did go to Bologna, Italy for the film festival.
Well, no, but he's talking about the Cinema Trovato.
I know. Right. But this is also when Bologna was.
Yes.
And the way I know that is because I celebrated my 26th birthday there.
Overlap.
That's where I had my birthday. Parade is extraordinary.
Yes, it is.
Yes, Jason Robert Brown wrote Parade, which was just revived recently with Ben Platt. Stunning music, stunning show. Again, though, just to go back to this, shows are too expensive. We were supposed to go back east. A friend passed away. We were supposed to go back for the memorial. And I went to look at tickets for that because I love the show and I really wanted to see it. And it was, I kid you not, almost $400 per person to see it. And I said to my mom, nope, I can't. We ended up not doing it. I didn't end up going to the memorial anyway, but it was like, how in the hell? What? Jason Robert Brown learned that from Sondheim. No, it happens in a lot of music. It's not uncommon for them to use lyrics again or to quote something that they've done earlier. It's just something where when I just happen to love the ones that Jason Robert Brown has done in particular. USC is offering free tuition for a fine arts master's degree. You think they would accept a nearly 60-year-old who just wants the diploma? Go for it, Victoria. There is no harm. Give it a shot. There is never a bad time to try, right?
Anything to buck ageism.
That's right. Look, I say it all day. I don't understand ageism because I will never understand why being older and wiser and having had experience could be a bad thing. For the life of me, I just don't understand that. In what world? Yeah, some tickets for Merrily We Roll Along's final week were up to 1,300 last time I checked. I just can't. How? And I understand that what you need is for everyone to agree not to pay it. Like, I get that that's the only way that happens, but it's not going to happen. And I don't get it.
Okay.
You have some toys to share.
Yes. These are not collectibles so much as accumulated stuff. Okay. Once I got on press lists, and once your mother and I started going to different shows and seeing stuff, so this is a miscellany of not.
Just show them. Just show them.
Okay. Once upon a time, Warner Brothers had stores, and they did wonderful products for the stores of all the Looney Tunes characters. But if you went to their Fifth Avenue store, which is opposite Tiffany's, they had made a Marvin Martian cartoon in 3D.
Which you could watch inside of a rocket ship.
And the only place it played was that store, the theater in that store. And these are the 3D glasses that they gave out.
I love that you have them.
I love that I have them too. But it got one other showing.
Yeah.
At Telluride.
At Telluride.
Yep.
Of course it did.
Which I hosted. Somebody thought this would be a neat idea, and it is a neat idea. Wouldn't you like to have a frame from The Wizard of Oz?
When did they do this?
Or Gone with the Wind? An actual 35 millimeter frame from the movie?
Cinema Clips, the hot new collectible souvenir of one of the most popular hobbies in the world, going to the movies. Imagine if you had a souvenir from the original screening of The Wizard of Oz. A few lucky people do. What kind of memories would it bring back? What would it be worth today? People went to the movies over 1 billion times last year in the US alone. Now you can tap into this huge market of movie buffs by offering them souvenirs of their favorite movies, something to help remember and share the movie-going experience. No kidding. So this is an ad to get you to try to buy these and sell them, it sounds like, to your customers.
Yeah.
So here's Wizard of Oz. You can see that.
They don't show well or
kind of
scan
see the
well.
back as well.
But they are genuine 35 millimeter frames.
That's
They cut
wild.
up a print, or they printed
Yeah.
one reel
Yeah.
to do that. Formats. We talk about physical media and formats. Well, one of the shortest living media was 8 millimeter video. And this is The Godfather 3, which is a long movie, multiple tapes, 8 millimeter video. I've saved these just to have.
Because why not? Yeah.
And when you were about to be born,
Yes.
I said to myself, and this is New Jack City, Mario Van Peebles' film, in 8 millimeter video. Go no. So
when I was about to be born,
I said, I want to take home movies of our baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked around the engineering department at Entertainment Tonight and said, what kind of video camera, what kind of handy camera, whatever should I get?
Yeah.
And the guys all said 8 millimeter video. It's like Betamax instead of VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Better quality, and it is essentially Betamax shrunk down to 8 millimeter. So I got that handheld camera, and I used it for about a year and a half, and then got tired of doing it. And I still have the videos, but I have to have them transferred now to a medium in which we can watch them.
I remember you showed me, there's a video of you trying to get me to sing when I was little. I remember seeing that one. And I do remember you trying to record some like choir concerts. When I was in like fourth or fifth grade.
I brought it to school.
I remember you trying to record some of those.
I did interview my father and my mother.
Yeah? Oh, no, that's
Separately.
right. I remember that. I do remember that. Because that's when I heard your father say the Polish Baltic area.
Yeah.
And in that very specific, in that his voice. It's only, neither of my grandparents had thick accents.
They're American born.
Jersey, but New Jersey, New York accents.
Right.
But they definitely had certain words, and like Baltic instead of Baltic. And so your father's a Polish Baltic area. Just one of those things stays in my head. I remember you sat outside with them. Or with Grandpa, at least. Yeah, you did. You're sitting outside at the glass table. I remember you doing it.
Okay.
You probably did it more than once.
Maybe that's.
Yeah.
We'll have to get those things transferred to find out.
Yeah, find out.
All right. So here is a faux postcard, which, as you can see, imitates an old-fashioned mid-century postcard from Fargo. And it's a message, a dear friend. It's a message from Sheriff Marge Gunderson.
Yeah. Greetings from Fargo. It's getting pretty darn cold out here nowadays, though not like last winter when we had that ruckus. That was something, remember? You don't? Well, it was a nasty business. I'll send my whole case report off in the post this week. Have a look-see. Bye now, Sheriff Marge Gunderson. Clever. Clever, clever, clever. I don't think you still have these.
I can't get rid of them.
Well,
what if I do? Throw them away?
No, God forbid. No, these are tissue packets, folks. These are tissue packets, but they're Bugs Bunny and Whoop and Elmer Fudd. So that's why my dad still has them. Is why. Does it have a 3-cent stamp? It has a 20-cent stamp.
Yeah.
That's what it had. A pretend 20-cent stamp.
In the 60s, Larry Harmon, the creator of Bozo the Clown as a TV entity, bought the rights to Laurel and Hardy. Much too long a story to go into. But, and he commissioned an artist, I think a Hanna-Barbera artist, to create a cartoon version of Stan and Ollie. And they're actually fun.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, they're not caricatures. They're a cartoon interpretation of the look of Stan and Ollie. So they did a lot of merchandising. And here is an Ollie popsicle mold.
It's cute. So funny. Say, Leonard, would you happen to have a Laserdisc player? We did. Do we still?
I have 2.
There you go. We have 2 of them. If you do you have a Laserdisc of classic movie stars like Ziegfeld Follies, 1946, which reportedly has the deleted musical numbers?
I cannot give you a thorough answer to that question, except that I donated all my Laserdiscs to USC.
All of them?
Yeah.
No, we kept. I had like 3 that you were supposed to hold.
Well, those are the 3 we have.
Are you sure?
No.
Did you give away my Laserdiscs?
Maybe.
I had Coneheads on Laserdisc. I had Michael Jackson's history, all of his music videos. That was number 2. And then I think I had a Weird Al one.
I probably saved those.
Yeah. You better have saved them. Better have saved them or else. They were mine.
And this is actually from the 50s. This is actually authentic mid-century. A Tom, as in Tom and Jerry, Nightlight. And I may have Jerry somewhere.
I think you do.
Probably under those Laserdiscs.
Honestly, he's under my Laserdiscs. If you gave away my Laserdiscs.
I didn't give away.
You gave away my Laserdiscs, I swear. It's all I had. It's all I had left. No. Raphael's asking, do you have many catalogs of Black Hawk films and Castle films?
I have samples of both.
Yeah. Yeah, a number of them. What has happened over the years is as they release and then re-release and then re-release, it becomes a question of how many of them do you keep? And we've talked about it a lot, between amongst ourselves of sort of, well, I have this copy of this and this copy of this. Should I have the different ones? My thing, and I'll be honest, part of why I feel like we should all hold on to our VHS is because it's the closest thing we have to something that's physical. So if it got wrecked, you could still use it. You know what I mean? I will always be worried about, and this is how I was raised around physical media. I don't trust computers and I don't trust a disc. I just don't trust them because they can die. I know that your film can go bad, but even that isn't going to be instantaneous. You could transfer it to something else. I don't know. I just feel safer with cassettes. I feel safer. It's kind of like, listening to music on a little cassette, things like that. I don't know. I'm just always worried that somehow they're all going to get wiped and then we'll have nothing.
And then I had a DVD freeze on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
last
Yeah. The
weekend.
other day. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's hard. Do you remember the name of that company, the one that you worked with for a little bit, where you're supposed to scan everything in and then you could have access to it and watch it on TV?
Oh yeah.
What were
They're in
called?
business.
Are they?
CinemaScape.
Oh, good job, you. There was a company over the years.
Do I have it right? Is that what
I
it's
don't. I
called?
don't remember. Over the years, my dad has worked with so many different companies. We've had so many different kinds of companies approach us to do stuff.
Startups, a lot of startups.
And this one was supposed to be for people who had home theaters primarily, but anybody who has sort of who holds on to their stuff and wants to have easier access. What you would do is you would put your DVDs in, it would scan them, and then it would all go into this database, this huge thing that was in our garage. It was massive. And then when you were...
That would be the hard drive.
Yeah. When you were at your television, you use the remote and you could pull it all up and it was all there in front of you. And I remember the first time we did it and we went, ooh, that's fancy. And especially for my dad with wanting to cut to, if he wanted to get to Looney Tunes disc 6, and cut 5, you could do that. One of the things we did find difficult was that some of the older stuff was not split into chapters. So like if you wanted to watch a musical, they're not always split into chapters. And so you'd have to figure out where it would considered chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. But it was an interesting idea. It was an interesting idea for sure. And having all of that at your fingertips. Now people are used to it. But this has got to be 20 years ago or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. And again, I'm 38. So
yeah,
it's a while. It's a while. But yeah, it's interesting to see what people come up with and how they try to sort of keep a hold of everything.
Oh, I was once hired by Gannett newspapers to do dial a review where you'd call an 800 number and get charged like 99 cents to hear my review.
That's so fun. Why aren't we doing that now? But we should just give them your phone number. We should get like a burner phone and just tell people every time you call, it's going to be 99 cents, but you can ask Leonard questions and he'll answer them for you on the phone. That would be really funny, actually. That'd be really funny. Now I say there's just so many things over the years. People have tried so many different, ways to make something work.
And what happened with that one was I did some samples for them.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to launch on a certain date, October 10th.
Yeah.
And I kept looking in USA Today, a Gannett publication, for an announcement.
Yeah.
Something to promote it or an article about it.
Yep.
Nothing. And I called the guy who was my contact man, and he said, "Oh, the critic for USA Today got his feathers ruffled that you'd be doing that instead of him." I said, "Well, that's a lie, because the critic for USA Today is my old friend Mike Clark, who never said a word to me and would have let me know.
Would have said, hey, I'm not okay with this."
Yeah. So I knew that it was a bogus excuse.
Few things are better than knowing that you can actually go to the source for something. This is the thing, you never know. So if somebody tells you that they're friends with somebody, right? Oh, I know, I'm just going to throw in James Cameron. I know James Cameron. I've known him well for years. The problem when you live here in our bubble of Hollywood is that there's a solid chance I'll be able to ask that man in person. And what we've all had happen, every single one of us, is you go, oh, hey, I'm friends with George. And he goes, who's George? And you go, George, whatever. And yeah, I have no idea who that is. And few things are more awkward than standing there with somebody going, hey, I'm friends with your friend. And they go, I don't know who that is.
Nick, I'm the only one who made any money on those RCA alternate format laser discs, because I wrote liner notes for them and they paid on time. They lost millions upon millions of dollars, but I made like $75 a shot.
How did you manage to keep the stick with this all these years?
Well, it was just there.
All right. I'm just impressed.
It was just there.
Just impressed is all. Can't really fit it in now, but can't. Yeah. I just really like this. I almost want to try it, but not, because then it would not be a collectible anymore. That's really fun. Can you imagine? Hey kids, does everybody want an Oliver Hardy popsicle? Very lonely. Very lonely. Anybody want to? No, nobody wants an Oliver Hardy pops. Just me. Okay, all right. I made one for me, so it's fine. It's fine. Nobody else needs it. It's fine.
Richard Sherman, who we will never stop remembering,
Nope.
And who passed, a little over a week ago, and a half.
Not a week, Daddy.
Is it 2 weeks now?
Is the May 20-something?
Oh.
And it's June 20-something. So it's like a month.
Went to Beverly Hills High School.
Yeah.
With Lois Laurel.
Mm-hmm.
And got invited.
Stan Laurel's daughter.
And was invited to a birthday party at Lois's house. And went to the house. And at one point, they trooped all the kids into a little makeshift theater. And her father threaded up a film, a 16mm film, and started showing it. And at one point, Richard said he looked at the screen, and then he looked back at Lois's father. It took him time to realize.
Yeah.
It was Stan.
It's like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been very funny with Daisy. You were when Donald Sutherland died. Was it CBS that called? I don't remember who. KTLA called, and they wanted to interview my dad to speak about him, which is why we lovingly call him Dr. Death. And Daisy was upset because she wanted to go see Grandpa, but she couldn't. Daisy always wants to go see Grandpa. And so when you tell her you can't see Grandpa, all hell breaks loose because she wants Grandpa now. And I said, Daisy, Grandpa's working. So you can't see Grandpa right now. Why? And Mercy goes, Grandpa's on the TV. And Daisy goes, Grandpa's on the TV. And she's seen you now a handful of times on TV. And it's really funny because each time she's like, Grandpa on TV. But obviously she's too little to sort of put together that other people are seeing it. But yeah, it does make me laugh to think that at some point she'll go, oh, Grandpa's on TV. Okay, I get that. She saw Gray, our friend Gray Drake. She saw Gray once on TV, and she sort of stared at it. I went, yeah, that's Gray. That's Gray on the TV. We live in a weird world. That's how tired I am. A weird world. Oh, Sean says, I got the classic movie guide for Father's Day. That's wonderful.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Thank you.
That's lovely.
Or thank whoever bought it for you.
Yeah, thank whoever gave it to you. Possibly your child or someone else. That's very nice. It's a good gift. It's a good gift, I tell you. If you love movies, it's a good gift. Oh, my. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for joining in with us. And we are here next week. Yeah, we'll be here next week unless something horrific happens, which I only say because I'm Jewish and that's how that works. I suggest putting on the Walt Disney Treasures set for her when Grandpa is busy. Yeah. I'll just pull up some different clips of Grandpa on YouTube and let her enjoy it that way. That too is very funny, is them seeing all of us at different ages. So like her looking at me, pictures of when I'm little and going, that's Mommy. And she's like, is it Mommy? Like, it is. I know, it's crazy. Anyway, yeah, we will see 110 heat. Woof. We'll see you next week. Everybody, please take good care of yourself. And if you are dealing with the heat, please be very, 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 very careful.
Yes.
Because it is rough out there. We'll see you later.
Be kind.